Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel, Country Lily DIY Decor. If you like budget-friendly decor DIYs, then please consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you enjoy this video, please make sure to give me a big thumbs up. So for project number 1, I'm going to be using 2 of these tag signs that I picked up at Dollar General for $1 a piece. And I tried to remove those little stickers with my hair dryer, but they were super sticky, so I decided to just go ahead and sand those down. I'm going to remove the tags and go ahead and give them 2 good coats of the classic white chalk paint. This is made by Krylon. Actually, it did take 3 coats. It took 3 coats to cover up that dark lettering on the front. And I do go ahead and paint the front, the sides, as well as the back for both pieces. And once I get those dried and completely dry, I will show you how they look. It really did cover up the sticker on the back. It turned out very nicely, and you can't even see that once I sanded that down and painted it. So I'm going to be using just the 1 tag for project number 1. We're going to save the other tag for project number 2. So I'm going to be using this Farm Sweet Farm. This is just something I created, and it is a free printable. I will have a link in my description box down below to my website if you would like to go over and get that free printable. And I'm just going to use that transfer method where you put the pencil on the back, and then I'm going to tape it down more towards the bottom of the tag so that it doesn't move around while I am tracing over that with my pencil. Now with this particular one, I did not press hard enough, so it was barely visible when I removed it, but it was okay. I could still see it. Just make sure that you press firm enough to transfer that over. And then I also began using my oil-based Sharpie paint pen, which I love. It's an ultra fine sharp paint pen. And that is what I was going to begin to use to trace over the transfer, but it broke right in the beginning of the little project, which was okay. Luckily, it broke on the napkin and not on my sign. So I did go, had to finish the project up with a black marker, paint marker, which was fine. It just didn't give me... It just took a little longer than it would have with my oil-based Sharpie. So I'm just going to go over each of those letters and the design on the outside. And I do go over my letters twice. And then I do use my hair dryer as well to make sure that it is dry before I handle it. So then I'm going to take some buffalo check ribbon. This actually came from Hobby Lobby. It's a little bit thinner. It's not as wide as the ones from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to hot glue that around the top part of the sign. And I do glue it in the front just so that it doesn't slide around. And then I'm going to secure that in the back with hot glue as well. And then for the little hanger portion, I am using some elastic stretch cord. I will try to leave a link in the description box below if I can. If not, you can get this at Hobby Lobby. It is in the jewelry section. And you just usually use these to make bracelets. But I wanted to use these little black beads that I had for a hanger. And the holes are very tiny, so you can't use like jute string or anything. So I just feed the beads on there until I get all the beads or get the desired length that I want. And then I'm going to cut that elastic cord. And I really do like this elastic cord because once you tie it on there, it just hides it. It hides it under the bead. But I'm just going to feed that through the hole of the tag. And then I'm just going to wrap it around itself, the little cord, about 3 or 4 times. Pull that very tightly. And then I'm going to double knot it once I get that pulled tight. And then you won't even see the little cord. It kind of just goes right under the bead once you double knot it. And this is how project number 1 turned out. Really cute. So for project number 2, going to be using the other sign that we just painted in project number 1. And I've got another free printable for you. This one says be humble, and I'm going to use the same method on this one to transfer it onto the tag, and I'm just going to put it about middle way of the tag. And I do just go through and actually just trace over the entire letters rather than the outside of the letters. I trace the entire part of those. And I did press firmly enough this time so that when I removed my paper, you could actually see the transfer. So once I get all of that done and remove the paper, I'm going to go over that with just a plain black Sharpie. And I chose to use the plain black Sharpie because I'm going to be distressing the sign a little bit, and the Sharpie gives it a little bit more of a distressed look on the lettering. And I do go over that twice. You know, Sharpies tend to dry out a little bit, so I have to keep putting the lid on it and let it build back up and then go back over it again. So I'm just going to go over that twice. And then I'm going to take some black chalk paint and just dry brush around the edges of the sign just to distress it a little bit. And that's why I like the little Sharpie, because it kind of gives it a little bit more of a distressed look on the lettering. And then once I'm finished with that, I'm going to take some hemp rope and I'm going to hot glue it around the top part twice, kind of letting it crisscross in the center in the front, and doing the same thing at the bottom of the sign, letting it crisscross in the front and then just securing it with some hot glue on the back side. And then I decided to make a little messy bow where I just take the hemp rope and wrap it around 3 of my fingers about 5 or 6 times. And then I'm just going to tie a knot right in the center of that little loop and make a little bow. And I originally was going to keep the tails, but I really didn't like the way it was hanging down over the top part of the sign, so I do opt to go ahead and cut the tails off and just glue the little bow at the top. And I'm just going to hot glue that right over the little hole at the top of the sign. And this is how project number 2 turned out. This is so cute. And so moving on to project number 3, I'm going to be using this wooden sign that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. And this is so cute. I'm going to go ahead and just remove the hanger off of the back, and I'll set that aside. I may use that for something else later on, but I don't need it for this sign. And then I'm also going to use 2 of the jumbo popsicle sticks. So I begin by just measuring from the center corner, from the top left to the bottom right, and then I'm just going to try to draw a straight line and cut that down with my scissors, cutting it pretty slowly so you don't split the popsicle stick. And then I'm just going to take the measurement that I had from my corner and mark that on the popsicle stick, and then cut the straight edge on that one as well. And if you cut it a little bit longer, it's okay, because you can trim that off with your scissors. So once I get that cut, I do go ahead and remove that little free hugs portion of the sign. And then it did, tear the paper a little bit, so I sand that down nice and smooth, so when I paint, it will be nice and smooth. And then I dry fit my little popsicle stick in there to make sure that it is going to fit. And then I cut the straight edge on the other popsicle stick, and then take my measurement from corner to corner on the opposite side, and then I'm going to cut that popsicle stick to that measurement. And like I said, if it's a little bit longer, you can always trim it down. And then this one, I didn't cut it completely straight, so I did have to snip the little corner off there at the bottom until I can make sure that I can get that in there nice and snug. And you do want to make sure you dry fit it before you move on to the next step. So once I get those in there, I just line the other one on top of it, making sure it is center on each corner. And then I'm going to take my pencil and mark both of the popsicle sticks where they meet. So just make a little mark there, right there where the 2 meet. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut a little more than halfway through where I marked at, being very careful not to break the popsicle stick or cut it completely through. Just going a little bit more than halfway through, so that I can slide them over top of each other where I just cut, and then just kind of straighten that up so that when I put it in the sign, it is nice and straight and where the two meet, so it makes a little X inside the sign. And then I'm going to take some of the same classic white chalk paint, and I'm going to give the inside of the sign and the sides of the inside of the sign 3 good coats, letting it dry in between each coat. And then I take my black chalk paint and paint the little popsicle sticks on all of the sides and on the inside as well. And I do use my hair dryer in between just to make sure that I can dry it so that I can flip it over and paint the other end without messing my paint up. So I'm also going to be using some of these wooden letters that you can pick up at the Dollar Tree in a little bag, and I'm going to give each of these letters 1 good coat of that black chalk paint. And I really love how this black and white looks together. It's so pretty. So once I get all of those painted, I do make sure that I have nice good coverage on the sign with my white chalk paint and that it is completely dry before moving on to the next step. So if you guys are enjoying this video, please make sure to give me a thumbs up. And if you have a favorite, please let me know in the comments down below. So once that's completely dried, I'm going to take my black chalk paint and I'm going to go around the top rim of the sign as well as each of the sides, giving it a nice good coat. And again, using my hair dryer to make sure that I can allow that to dry so I can flip it over and paint the other side. And because my popsicle sticks were such a nice snug fit, I did not have to secure those inside the sign with any hot glue or glue, because once I put those in there, they stayed nice and tightly. So just put the little X right there inside the sign once all the paint is dried. And then I'm going to take some Mod Podge to secure my letters down. Now I chose to use Mod Podge because it's a little bit more forgiving and you have a little bit more time to move those letters around. So I'm just going to put it on the back of each letter and put one of the letters inside of each of the triangles, and that way I have time to center those up before the glue dries, because if you use the hot glue, you have to be very quick and you have one shot at putting that letter in there and trying to get it centered. So now this is a cute little sweet farm sign, and I think this is just absolutely adorable. So let me know which one's your favorite. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please take care, and I will see you next time.